Vincent Price show is finally here. Happy Halloween, Mr. Ridgely.
Happy Halloween, Mr. Madison.
Well, it is finally here, Halloween night, the greatest night of the year. I want to wish everybody watching a very, very happy Halloween, and thank you for joining us on this historic evening. The evening that we will find ourselves listening to the Prince of Darkness, the greatest horror actor of all time, the legendary Vincent Price, in a never-before-heard interview on this very show tonight. But before we get into all the magic of Halloween and the magic of Vincent Price, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Film Hub, which brings you to this wonderful show, is a wonderful resource for independent filmmakers out there who want to get their film out on platforms and get their film seen by the public. They're fair and honest. They get your films on many, many platforms. They're amazing to work with. So if you're an independent filmmaker, check out Film Hub.
And also brought to you by StreamYard. People often ask us how our video streams say looking professional and have all these cool features. That would be StreamYard. They have a free trial. Tell them the Indie Escape Network sent you.
Yes, indeed. And what is that lovely venture that your beautiful wife and daughter are working on?
Well, thank you. That would be Hearts of the Mystic Folk. Check out their line of awesome all-natural scented wax melts available in a variety of fun and seasonal scents.
Yes, indeedy. Now, tonight we have nothing short of a historic show. As we've been saying for months. Hello, CJ. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween, Libby, a wonderful filmmaker in her own right, Libby McDermott. Thank you for watching. Tonight we have a historic show, an interview that's never been heard before by the public of the late, great Vincent Price. We're going to have a whole bunch of wonderful celebrities and icons stop in and discuss the interview as it goes on. But I'm just super excited. Joe, how was your Halloween?
Well, unfortunately, it was pretty uneventful. We moved to the new house. My wife and daughter decked out the outside with all the Halloween decorations and lights and everything. Not one trick-or-treater.
You know, that would really break my heart. But I think in where I live, in my town, we made up for every house that got one trick-or-treater in the country. Because up here in Northeast Pennsylvania, especially in Milford, Pennsylvania, Halloween is alive and well. From what I understand, in the small borough of Milford where I live, which was actually voted the #1 place to trick-or-treat in the country, there was over 50,000 trick-or-treaters out. And if you are a friend of mine and you got on my personal page, you would have seen the streets were just a sea of trick-or-treaters. Everybody out going out and just having a good time. You know what's really cool about it, Joe? People of all ages trick-or-treat here. And everybody is just out for the right reasons. Nobody's doing like the egging and the shaving creaming. Everybody's enjoying each other's company and checking out their checking out their costumes and having a wonderful time. So it's just absolutely fantastic. And what could be better than to end your Halloween night with us listening to the late great Vincent Price? It's literally like we're bringing him back one last time to share his amazing talents, his amazing voice, and to be with us. I mean, every time when I was putting together the segments that we're going to play, just hearing his voice again was giving me absolute goosebumps, and it was just really, really fantastic. Hi, Libmatic Films. Hi, Carrie. Happy Halloween. Hi, Susie. I need to move there. Kinda Dead here in Abington, Pennsylvania. I'm sorry. If you're a big Halloween person, you definitely need to, in Abington, you need to get up to Milford, Pennsylvania for Halloween. I had a wonderful Halloween party last night, Joe. Everybody, we had just a great time. We were laughing and carrying on. But then as the night grew later, and I asked all of my attendees, which one of you guys would like to take a ride with me and do a seance on Clinton Road, which is supposedly one of the most haunted places in the entire world. Everyone's like, oh, I got to wax my cat. Brian O'Halloran was like, oh, I have to go get root canal surgery. Nobody had any desire to go with me on Goosey night after midnight to Clinton Road. Oh, Carrie got no trick-or-treaters, so I like the way you think. All the candy is yours. That's wonderful.
Now, David, I would have gone with you if I was up there.
Everybody said that leading into my Halloween party. But then when everybody's seen I was deadly serious about going, everybody's tune changed. And sadly, I have a flip phone from 1912, and everybody thinks I'm full of shit and thinks I'm lying. But everybody who truly knows me know that I have the oldest. Like, it's literally like a tin can with a string on it.
But everybody knows also that your wife does not, and you could have borrowed hers.
I can use her phone when she's with me. And she wasn't going to Clinton Road. That's for sure. I know, I would have liked going with Big Ed there. I mean, between Ed and I, we'd have had like 14 feet of big scary dude that we could have, taken on any monsters, and especially in our cases, werewolves that were looking to deal with us. Ed's making a wonderful werewolf movie, and I can't wait to see it. And what's the title, Joe? Because you have the poster right there.
Oh, now you're gonna freaking make me turn around and read.
No, I know the title.
The Beast Comes at Midnight.
Beast Comes at Midnight. Yes, absolutely. And I'm watching them put that film together on all their social media platforms, and I'm super excited to see that movie. I can't wait for it to come out. And Ed's a super talented guy, so I have a feeling this particular episode is going to be watched a few times in replays. So while you're watching this in the future, make sure you look for Ed's werewolf film, The Beast Comes at Midnight. I think it's going to be fantastic. With that being said, Mr. Ridgely, is Grunkle Scott in the green room by any chance?
He is.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the co-star of mine in the upcoming werewolf feature, Full Moon Fever. He plays Dr. Lawrence Talbot. Now, see what I did there? Mm-hmm. He's just a wonderful guy, a wonderful actor, and Joe and I's third amigo, the glue that keeps this show together, Grunkle Scott Schiaffo. Grunkle Scott!
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen? Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Scott, I wanted to ask you something before we started this show tonight. Do you have any particular memory of Halloween that you're particularly fond of? Do you have anything like from when you were a kid or anything in particular?
I do, and as a child, from say age, I'm going to say 6 or 7 to about 12, I went as Batman every year because I loved Batman, and the costume was so cool. So those memories are pretty near and dear to me, and my mother put up with that. And I was a store-bought Batman, but it was exciting nonetheless. And like my partner in crime there, Carrie, mentioned, there's 2 residents in Bergen County. We got 0 although we wouldn't have known because we weren't really home in the one house. But we get zero trick-or-treaters for many years now. It's really kind of a sad thing.
You know, it's funny. It seems like some communities really embrace Halloween and it's like enormous, and some communities don't. It's just weird. I don't know why that is, but the Batman Halloween costume you had, was it one of those ones with the plastic mask and the rubber band that you would put over the back and it holds you to your face?
It was. It was Adam West, I guess. I think that's what it was. You know, obviously that's decades before the Tim Burton movie.
Yep. I want to say Happy Halloween to Michael Tamanya and to Tim. How would you say that? Melican? I'm terrible with last names. Thank you for watching tonight. Michael's a family member of mine. He's a great guy. Happy Halloween. Much love to you and your family, Michael. And so, Scott, I mean, we've been talking about this episode. Thank you, Ed. We're both going to, like I said many moons ago, I think we're making The Howling and American Werewolf in London all over again. Two great werewolf films that redefined the werewolf, the whole werewolf industry. Oh, happy Halloween to Mr. John Wayne Colwell. I always say his name. I call him Cowl, but he yells at me all the time. So yeah, I know him for over a decade. You think I know how to say his last name? He has a great show on too.
So according to Kerry, it looks like Scott still wears that today.
The scary part is that he wears nothing underneath it. We're very sorry.
Aren't they
Kerry.
open in the back? They have a big slip. Okay.
It's like a hospital gown.
Oh, there's a lot of trunk or treating where Susie is, and that's. I'm not a big trunk or treat guy, to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm old and grouchy. So Joe?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on, in a matter of a few moments, we are going to unleash a never before heard interview with maybe the most iconic genre actor of all time, Vincent Price, on this show.
I think it's absolutely amazing. We were talking pre-show, and I'm Gen X. I was born in '76, so my memories of Vincent Price were more from Michael Jackson's Thriller, and for those of you who remember, there was actually a Scooby-Doo cartoon featuring Vincent Price. So, and later on, I actually got into the movies, though, when I started educating myself about horror movies.
And then I brought up the Brady Bunch, and literally, this is before the show, and literally, I thought Joe originally was going to, in a very Halloween-like manner, reach through the screen and bite my face off. Because apparently, Mr. Ridgely is not the biggest of Brady Bunch fans. So,
Good show. Yep.
So
So you asked me how I felt about the Brady Bunch, and I spoke honestly. I thought it was one of the silliest shows on TV ever.
Yeah, I understand. Now tonight, I as the folks who watch this show knows, we have some wonderful, iconic guests on all the time. But because it's a Halloween night, it was very, very, very difficult to get everybody to commit. But I think we're going to have a pretty amazing lineup stop in during this broadcast. So, Joe, I'm going to, as people pop up, as our guests pop up, I don't have access to them in the green room, everybody. Joe Ridgely, our wonderful producer, does. Joe, as people pop up, you can just let us know that they're here and introduce them, and we'll bring them on, and we'll get everybody together who gets in before we start our first clip of the legendary interview, and we'll move on from there. How's that sound, Joe?
All right. So far, we have about 4. Do you want
sweet.
all 4 of them pulled up now, or?
Yeah, pull up all 4.
All right. I'll try to do it in order that they arrive. Let's start with Mr. Camden Toy. How are you, Mr. Toy?
Hey, how's it going?
Happy Halloween, Camden. How are you?
Happy Halloween.
Matey.
Oh, Camden is just a wonderful, wonderful actor. You know, from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and so many films and television series. He's just a great guy. Camden, thank you for joining us tonight. I have a question for you. Do you have any stories of about a passion or a thought about Vincent Price before we listen to the first section of the interview?
Well, I think one of my earliest memories is the Pit and the Pendulum of his. There was something I just loved the way he was. I love when he sort of started losing his mind, and the way he said, and the pit and the pendulum. The way he said. I mean, I can't even do it justice. It was just so. It was so iconic and so lovely and delicious. And what was great about it, it wasn't overdone. It was so perfect. It wasn't too much. It wasn't too little. It just pulled me in. I just loved it.
And you know what is also, if you think about it, you've heard wonderful impersonations throughout your life of Boris Karloff. You've heard wonderful impersonations throughout your life of Bela Lugosi and of all these horror icons. But have you ever heard a spot-on impersonation of Vincent Price?
I haven't. No,
I haven't. I don't think anybody could do it because he was just so iconic and so one of a kind.
Yeah.
And that's
Danny Aykroyd on the original Saturday Night Live used to do him.
You used to do Vincent Price?
Yeah, they did like an old school horror thing. And I got a quick time out for a second. Somebody just said that Vincent Price was in Edward Scissorhands, which is a Tim Burton film.
Right.
And I said that earlier, and you said that he passed long before that.
No. You said Boris Karloff was in Edward Scissorhands. Come on, you guys back me up.
I said.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
You said Boris Karloff passed in 1969 and Vincent Price in the 90s.
Yes, and that's why he couldn't have. Because maybe you just didn't understand I was talking about Karloff.
Right.
And now the whole audience is like, what the hell are these morons talking about? Because they had no idea what we were talking about.
The magic of pre-show.
The magic of pre-show. Joe, who else do we have waiting in the wings?
We have Mr. Jim Krut.
Ladies and gentlemen, horror icon, overall great guy, Mr. Jim Krut. Jim, how was your Halloween?
This is it, man. I've been traveling most of the day to get here. We were down with our daughters and family in Virginia, and it was delightful. I made up this little song about the creature from the Black Lagoon, and my granddaughters just loved it. And they just say, "Creature from the Black Lagoon," and they, come on, Grandpa, sing it. So anyway, it's probably in many ways one of the best Halloweens ever in that regard.
Oh, sweet. Can you share us with it? Share the Creature from the Black Lagoon song with us, or is it already out of the?
It's not copyrighted or anything, but here, it's just a bit of Creature from the Black Lagoon, the creature from the Black Lagoon. He's coming to your house soon. The creature from the Black Lagoon. He might be there by noon. The creature from the Black Lagoon. Don't fall apart and swoon. The creature from the Black Lagoon. You can just keep adding to it. But my granddaughter said, you said there was a part where creature from the Black Lagoon was hiding behind a sign. Can you sing that part? I just had made it up sometime, months ago, whatever, and I had no idea. So she made it up for me, and it was great.
That's fantastic, Jim. Thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything that you want to say about Mr. Price before we start our Lost Tape interview?
Well, some folks had mentioned The House on Haunted Hill, and I always thought that was one of the classics. It's one of the ones that always sort of set my mind ablaze and made me look around any time I walked into a darkened room. But I'd done a show in Germany, and his daughter, Victoria Price, was there. And I had an opportunity to have drinks with her and Sarah Karloff, Boris Karloff's daughter. And to me, that was like, whoa, touching greatness. Maybe a little bit of a distance, but just to, sit down and have a few drinks with them and just kind of catch up a little bit and think. And in the back of my mind, I wanted to ask all of these questions, but I knew it just would not be the cool thing to do. You want to be cool.
You're always cool, Mr. Krut. Thank you for joining us tonight, Joe. Is there somebody? Who else do we have waiting?
Well, we got a couple of people, but somebody's out of their chair right now, so we're going to skip over him for the moment. We got Mr. Tony Timpone.
Ladies and gentlemen, literally a literary master in the horror genre. One of the men who brought us the great Fangoria magazine when it was at its peak, its pinnacle. And you were friends with Mr. Price, weren't you, Tony?
Well, I wouldn't say friends, even though I met him and corresponded with him. Well, yeah, you could say I was a friend. You know, we promoted him in the magazine. We interviewed him in the magazine. And I had him as a guest at the greatest Fangoria Weekend in Forest convention we ever did back in 1990 in Los Angeles, where he was a guest of honor. And we did a special program, an evening with Vincent Price, which was just unforgettable. We had him on stage for a full hour, and that was when I finally got to meet him, and I was backstage with him, and it was such a magical moment. That was in 1990, and he was already, a little on the infirm side. He had a cane, and it was like, you're with your grandfather. You wanted to take care of him and look after him, and we had it was just a real special night, and it was also on the occasion of his birthday. His birthday was like a few days or a few weeks away, so I engaged a bunch of his famous co-stars and friends to send birthday greetings, which we read on stage. This was before the internet. We had to do everything via correspondence and fax and stuff. So Joe Dante, who was interviewing Price on stage for us, at the end, he handed over the mic to me, and I read all these great greetings from the likes of Bob Hope, Charlton Heston, Robert Mitchum, Gene Tierney, Diana Rigg, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, who all just said all these wonderful things about Vincent Price. And you could see how touched he was that we surprised him in this manner, because he didn't know we were going to do this. And it was just one of the best moments of my life, getting to meet him and getting to do something back, something nice for him that I'll never forget.
Yeah, I remember my brother Bob did a show called Diversions and Delights with Mr. Price, and that's where the interview was conducted back before the performance. And he came over to my house a few times in Middle Village, Queens, when I was a kid, and he is just one of the kindest, most soft-spoken, and he was like ridiculously tall. I'm 6'7", and maybe at the time I was a lot shorter because I was a kid. But he seemed like larger than life, and he was. It's one of those occasions that when he entered a room or when he spoke, you knew that you were around greatness, or you were around a movie star, and you've met him on several occasions, Tony. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. He could walk into a room with 2 people in it or with 1,000 people in it, and he would always be the center of attention because he just had that magic about him. Mr. Ridgely, who else do we have waiting to join us?
Well, we have Bill Randolph and somebody sitting next to him, but unfortunately his name's cut off at the moment. Bill, give me a thumbs up if you guys are ready to come up.
That should be the legendary Bill Randolph and Ron Millkie.
That's right.
There you go.
Hey.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Good.
How was your? Were you guys both at Chiller tonight?
No, I was there.
Oh, how was it? Did you have a good time?
Invited to all of this stuff. I don't.
Oh.
You've done more conventions than I have this year.
Well, this year.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but this year, but that's because of the 40th anniversary.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the icons from the original Friday the 13th, Bill Randolph and Ron Millkie. How are you, gentlemen?
Good. Just checking out my hair here.
I like it. I like it. Do you guys have any interesting thoughts or stories on the late, great Vincent Price before we start the interview that you'd like to share?
I'd like to say something.
Absolutely.
My favorite Vincent Price movie, Theater of Blood. Did I get that right?
Yes. It was
the actor who all the critics had given him a bad review, and he jumped out of the building. They thought he had drowned, and he lived with the homeless people in a cave, and he invited a critic to each performance. They did Shakespeare. It's kind of hard to believe. He got all the homeless people to do Shakespeare, and he murdered each critic in the style of
Tony, do you recall that film?
Oh, it's one of my favorites. Yeah, and it was Vincent Price's favorite film too.
Know that. Theater of Blood. Check it out.
Yep. What about you, Bill?
Certainly, I remember his voice more than anything. I mean, it was he. He has the kind of voice that advertising in this day and age would have loved, just in the sense that he just had to utter a syllable or two, and immediately you knew it was Vincent Price. It was nobody else. And no matter how many times comedians or other people try to imitate him, nobody had his voice. He was just had an amazing presence.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. We'll everybody, when the interviews are done, we're all just going to convene and talk about what was said. Joe, who do we have next?
Nobody at the moment. I am going to say, Mr. Toy, I'm going to mute your mic when you're not speaking. We're getting a little bit of feedback from you.
All right, so Joe, why don't we, first off, I want to thank my brother, Bob Madison. Do you have the photo earlier I sent you, Joe? Yes, there is my brother, Bob Madison. In the early 80s, he was, in this particular performance, a victim of Vincent Price's on a murder cruise where they were both out on the Caribbean. They used to do these where they would do performances for the cruise guests, and they would like a whodunit. And my brother, Bob, was blessed to be murdered by Mr. Price on several occasions, and they became dear friends. The interview that I'm going to play tonight, it's a two-parter. The very first part of the interview is conducted mostly by my brother Bob, who at the time was 19 years old. I'm in the second part of the interviews at age 11. So it's not Mickey Mouse you're listening to, it's literally me. And without further ado, Mr. Ridgely, let's play the first part of the legendary lost tape interview with Mr. Vincent Price.
Absolutely. And just so our guests know, they're about 5 minutes apiece. So here we go with the first one.
Why is The Invisible Returns neglected in accounts of your horror film career, and do you have any memories concerning it?
Well, I think one of the reasons is that there was the first one, the original one, and most of the sequels are not as successful, though that was a successful movie, but they tend not to sort of incorporate them. I don't know why, because in some biographies of me it's mentioned, but in other ones, one that you read, it may not have been. But it was a very successful picture. All of those Invisible Man pictures were successful because it was the sort of time of high, science fiction. But I don't know why it's not mentioned in the book that you read.
Yeah, well, most of them. It's just neglected. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah, it was a good picture. But they were really very difficult to make in the old days. Today they would use that blue thing, that they have.
And the film on top.
Yeah. But in those days they didn't have it. And what it was they had the set built, and then when you became invisible, they draped the whole set in black velvet, all over the entire set. Then you walked into it, the Invisible Man, dressed in black velvet, with any part of you that was supposed to be invisible with black velvet. So that when they photographed that and the camera was anchored, you had black velvet on black velvet. So all you had was the head off and the suit there, no hands or something like that, because you were wearing black velvet gloves. And there was one scene in it where I undressed a scarecrow.
In the field, yeah.
Yeah. It took 8 hours to film that thing. And it was a great field, and then they covered the whole field in black velvet, and then I was completely in black velvet. And then I had to undress this scarecrow and do it so that my hands which were covered with black velvet, never went in front of the scarecrow, because if they did, there would be a hole in the scarecrow, you see? So it just took hours and hours and hours to be able to do it technically, so that that when they spliced the two films together, there was nothing showing of the black velvet against the material. And it was a terribly difficult scene to do. As I say, it took 8 hours, and I think the scene on the screen was about a minute.
About, yeah.
That's all. So it was just endless.
Do you think you got the part because of your voice?
Probably. It was really actually one of the very first pictures I ever did.
Fourth.
Was it fourth picture? Yeah.
When did you first realize it hit you that you were considered by most kids as primarily a horror star?
Well, that wasn't until The House of Wax. See, because actually most of the films, well, that was only about, as you say, the fourth film I ever did. So there wasn't that much, I hadn't done that much. The first film I came out and did was sort of a leading man kind of thing called Service Phillips. And that kind of picture was the most popular picture at that time, that kind of drawing room comedy things.
Screwball stuff.
Yeah. And it, sort of right at that time, they had finished making those pictures, so it really didn't do me any good at all. And I also sort of knew that I wasn't a leading man type in that sense. I really wanted to be a character actor, so that's where I ended up.
Do you mind the way your career has turned out?
It turned out pretty good. I'm still working.
No, I mean, do you mind? Would you like doing something else?
Well, I do. This is entirely different than anything I've ever done. This is the biggest success I've ever had.
I'm glad. I loved it.
Yeah. No, seriously, so, and I think with the exception of like the first town that I played it in San Francisco, where a couple of the critics said, because I had done so many horror pictures, they were amazed to see me do this. Well, out of 100 movies, I've only done 20 horror pictures.
Tony, what are your thoughts on that Invisible Man film that they discussed in the beginning of the clip?
I thought that was cool. I really enjoyed that anecdote, the making of Invisible Man Returns. I thought that was fun. And he also played the role in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, uncredited. So it was fun to hear. Yeah, he does a little voiceover at the end. So yeah, I thought that was a fun story. What year was this interview conducted?
This one was conducted in 1979 when he was doing the Diversions and Delights play. My brother Bob was just his freshman year in college, but it was also a performer in that play. And this was about 2 hours before curtain time. Literally, my brother had one of those little cassette decks that, or that we all had when we were young, that had the 5 buttons across the bottom, and you'd press play and record. So please forgive the quality, everybody out there listening. The tape is now well over 40 years old, but just to hear Vincent in such a candid way and being like the human side of Vincent Price is just amazing. He was just an enormously talented and individual, and really kind and gentle and wonderful with his fans. And he was very giving as far as giving information, very much like everybody on this screen right now. And that's why you guys are here with me tonight, because you are all, I know you all for a long time now, and you're all very kind and generous with your time. I see you with your fans when we do shows together, and that's what separates you guys from the rest. But Vincent was very, very, very kind and very generous with his time. And on Halloween night, we're all sitting here listening to, my young teenage brother talking to just a horror god, a horror legend. Joe, did anybody else pop into the green room before?
Not as of yet.
Okay. So, Joe, why don't we? Do you guys have any thoughts on the first part of the interview before we go any further?
I love that he talked about, types, and he realized he wasn't really a leading man. I know in my career that was kind of what happened to me too. I remember early in my career, it became very clear that, I was not a leading man. And it's funny how those things, you try certain things and then you realize, well, that's not me, And I love the fact that he talked about that.
You know what's funny? My brother, being young and not really a seasoned interviewer, asked him, was he happy? And I know exactly what my brother was getting at. I know it wasn't supposed to be mean-spirited or intended to be mean-spirited, but he asked him if he was happy with I think he was actually asking him, are you happy that you are looked upon as a horror star? And I think Vincent handled it very gracefully because it didn't sound like that was what the question was, but he handled it very gracefully. And at the time, he was going around getting unbelievable reviews for Diversions and Delights on stage. And
where was it performed?
I know it was in New York City on Broadway, and they did it in Los Angeles and Chicago, as far as I can recall.
Oh, he toured all over the United States with that show.
Did he? Okay, yeah. I know that. Yeah, I mean, you, Tony, are the definitive knowledge of Vincent Price. So yeah, I'm only aware of the ones that I think that my brother worked with him on. But I know that show was absolutely. It was Oscar Wilde, right, Tony?
Yes.
And Oscar Wilde. Yeah. That he was just absolutely enamored with that show and that performance. Mr. Price was. All right, Joe. Why don't we roll part 2?
Hold on a second.
What?
Well, I wanted to say what I thought of it.
Oh, absolutely.
So what I thought was pretty cool. This is 1979, you said?
Yes.
Him talking about the special effects process during this, and with Black Velvet, and they were doing tape over tape to do it. And to think now we have green screens that just, you can do whatever the hell you want instantly.
Yeah, they actually had to splice the film or overlays to do the Invisible Man effect back then. And that's why a simple scene he was talking about, I think he said took 12 hours. Is that what he said?
Something
8 hours.
8 hours, yeah. And to do a simple scene. I know that we never got to talk about this in the interview, but are any of you guys a fan of his film The Raven that he did with Karloff and it was Peter Lorre, correct? Yeah, and Peter Lorre, where it was a bunch of battling magicians. Oh, what a great movie. But I digress. Joe, why don't we play part 2?
You got it. Here we go.
Of the William Castle movies you made, which one do you like the most?
Well, I think that The House on Haunted Hill was really a very funny and kind of kooky idea. And I must say I did enjoy that. I mean, it was such a far-out, wild idea. And it worked, I mean, he was really quite an extraordinary man, Bill Castle. Mad, sort of mad.
Died recently, didn't he?
Yeah, died about 2 years ago.
I really liked The Tingler.
Yes, I liked The Tingler, too.
One of my favorite movies.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. The Tingler, I liked, and he did some wonderful tricks. For instance, remember that the only scene in The Tingler that's in color is the scene in the bathtub with the head, yeah.
I seen that for the first time when I was about 8. And in one scene, you turn out the lights in the theater and ask everyone to scream.
Yeah.
And I was watching it in the house in the dark.
Yeah.
Really.
You saw it on television.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only television cuts everything up.
Oh, it cut everything. Murder. I mean, the only time I ever watch a movie on television if it's on educational channel, or probably TV because then they don't cut it.
They're doing a lot of musicals on educational TV.
What?
They're doing a lot of musicals on educational TV.
Yeah. What do you want to do with yourself? What is your...
I already started. I'm a writer.
Are you?
Yes.
That's good.
I'm having trouble with my publishing too. Ever read the Whispers magazine?
Whispers?
Yes.
No.
Oh, I write stories for that.
Whispers.
And Ellery Queen.
You do?
Yeah. Send you one of them if you would like to see one.
I never had time to read anything from my father. no worry with me. They're not terrible. I had 42 scripts, none of which I'll get to read.
42.
I try, but it's hard. You know, I really have to spend my time doing what I'm doing. I can't cut it that thin.
Of your Roger Corman movies, the Poe things, which one did you have the most fun making?
I would think The Raven, because the people in it were such wonderful people, Boris and Peter, and and beside that, there wasn't a word of sense in the film. So it was kind of fun to do it because Roger had no intention of making it into a comedy.
No?
No. And it was only when Peter and I and Boris decided that it had no reality at all, because, the poem has no plot, right? That Roger started to see that we were, sending it up. And we did that. We were the ones, and then he went along with it as a comedy.
There's one line in that I love where Peter wants bat's wings for a potion. You say, we don't have that stuff here, we're vegetarians.
Yes.
My next question, you practically answered. In the Corman films, you worked with Karloff and Basil Rathbone.
Yeah.
How is it like working with them?
Oh, wonderful. They were great friends of mine, long-time friends. So it was always sort of a reunion every time we did a picture together. It was great fun. And we were all really rather serious about trying to make films that were good films of their kind. There's no point in trying to make them into a film that isn't, the kind that is, another kind of film. You've got to stick within the genre that you're working.
Don't mix them.
No. In order to make it into a great masterpiece of a film, that isn't done. What you do is make it into a masterpiece of its kind.
Is there any possibility of a Dr. Five sequel?
Yes,
I loved them both.
Yeah, I did too. They're the same fellows who wrote the original script. Have a very good script.
Is Hitler in it? I heard a rumor that Hitler is somewhere in the third movie.
Well, they've written about 4 different scripts. And the trouble is now, you see, those pictures were made on a very low budget in England. To make one of those pictures now in America, because the English motion picture industry is pretty skinny right now, would cost about $2.5 million. That's the budget that they would put on it.
Wow. A third Dr. Phibes movie. Tony, did you know about the possibility of a third Dr. Phibes movie?
Yeah. It was going to be called Phibes Resurrected. At one point, Roddy McDowell, who was a friend of Vincent's, was going to co-star in it. But yeah, this was talked about a lot in the late 70s. And at one point, when Price got too old, they were going to recast the role with David Carradine as Dr. Phibes.
Wow, that would have been a tragedy if they did that.
Yeah.
I thought it was very, very kind. In the middle of the interview, Mr. Price asked my brother Bob what he wanted to do when he was growing up, because he was literally just a kid. And luckily, Vincent lived long enough to see my brother publish, I think, 3 books. So he knew that my brother became an author, and that was awesome. The Castle films. And you guys have any thoughts on the great William Castle, Vincent Price movies?
Oh, they're fun. The gimmick movies.
What are you going to say, Bill?
But just to throw in something here, there's always, if you're working on stage, they say there are no small parts. There are only small actors. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was fascinating what he had to say about, we decided we would take this and do a send-up of this movie. Now, today, if the director doesn't like what you're doing, you may not be in the production anymore or in the film. And if you decide, I think I'm going to turn this whole thing around, whether the director likes it or not, we're just having fun with our buddies. I just thought that was kind of a fascinating approach to we're going to make something out of this, because he said, regardless of the budget and whatever you're doing, do it well. Make it something special on its own. And I just found that tremendously good.
Also,
Fantastic advice.
also, I think it helped that the rest of the cast, which were no schmoes, it was kind of a group idea. And certainly it'd be hard for the director, no matter who it is, to kind of go against, the whole cast, turning it into, and who knows if in the dailies he even realized that it was changing the director. Although, I would imagine.
And another thing I noticed about maybe just old time Hollywood and old time actors that I kind of miss is that it seems like it was more communal and everybody was kind of like friendly with each other, and it was more about the art and the project itself turning out to be something special than it is about. It seems to be more today about the money and the fame and all. It seems like a lot of the important aspects of telling the story in this medium seem to be missing, and I kind of miss that. I mean, he talks about Basil Rathbone and Boris Karloff like they're his old drinking buddies instead of them being, acting peers. And I miss that kind of camaraderie that it seemed like old Hollywood had. I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure all of you guys are very familiar with Basil Rathbone. He played Sherlock Holmes in all the great 1940s Sherlock Holmes movies, and Karloff, another living legend. I mean, can you imagine being a fly on the wall in a room that had Boris Karloff, Basil Rathbone, and Boris Karloff in it?
But also, wasn't that fostered by the studio system in Hollywood at that time? The fact that so many great actors were contract players.
Yeah, it was almost kind of like a college atmosphere where they all kind of dormed at the studios, and they all kind of palled around, and they all kind of went to the same watering holes. So I mean, that's pretty epic stuff. Joe, do we have anybody else who popped into the green room while we were on?
We do. We have Mr. Brian O'Halloran. Are you prepared to come up, sir? Go ahead. Sorry, David. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, is he coming up?
I don't. He looks a little ill. I don't know how else to explain it.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. I got my time zones all messed up. I'm so sorry. But it's good to be here. Go ahead. You can introduce me to everybody else.
Ladies and gentlemen, pop culture icon, star of Clerks 1, 2, and the upcoming Clerks 3, and a bunch of films in the View Askew universe, Mr. Brian O'Halloran. Happy Halloween, Brian.
Happy Halloween. So to follow along with your conversation you just were on, the camaraderie is great when you're in the studio system because you're working for the man. You're working in a system that paid you kind of nothing. So, of course, you're going to have camaraderie and drinking and whoring because you ain't getting paid. So it's nice to think of the good old days of when money wasn't an issue. But at the same time, you got to get your money, son, because the studio system was all good for the golden age of certain actors, but not all. So the studio system put out some good films, but it didn't put out good people at times. So unfortunately, it burned through people like some people burn through Coca-Cola.
I think in this case, though, of Vincent Price, Boris Karloff, and Basil Rathbone, all of which had wonderful reputations and were wonderful human beings, that was not the case in this particular group of people. But I totally understand what you're saying.
I am wearing my Vincent Price.
Look at that.
Yeah, picked that up. So that was fun.
Show it again.
I've always liked Vincent Price's work. In general. Oh, do you want me to stand up again?
I did, yeah. Go.
That
is that Mask of the Red Death, Tony?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
I've always enjoyed his style, his just his effete way of delivering lines, you kind of, if you had him out today saying, listen, get your vaccine, people probably went, yes, I believe everything Vincent Price says. And you know what? If it turns me into a ghoul, that's a good thing. He just had that authority type of voice that you just go, I trust him. And funny enough, MeTV, that channel, they sometimes play those runs of early 70s shows, and they had The Love Boat on. And wouldn't you know, because it's Halloween, they had the Halloween episode where Vincent Price is on it. And as I'm seeing him on the TV, I'm like, oh, we're going to be discussing about him. I wonder if they're going to bring up his fine appearance on Love Boat.
Or on the Brady Bunch.
Yeah. See, I gave you guys 40 minutes to get really educational information about the great Vincent Price, and now I'm just going to come in here and just silly it up.
You never. No. Mr. Ridgely, before we start the third and final piece of the interview for this week, is there anybody else sitting in the green room?
Not as of yet.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, this is a two-part show. We'll finish up the interview next week. This is the third part of this week's interview with the legendary, late, great Mr. Vincent Price.
The Fives films showed that you have great comedic abilities because there's pantomime and sight jokes in that. Would you like to do a straight comedy?
Well, they were straight comedy, really.
Well, let's say slapstick Peter Sellers types.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to do that. And as a matter of fact, I've done a lot of it on television. Years ago, when John Frankenheimer first started, I did a couple of really kind of wild comedic things with him. And I've done a lot of it, but you know, the old television shows are never shown anymore. They were, that was on Playhouse 90 and things like that, and they just aren't shown because I don't think they were filmed. I'm not even sure that they were kept at all, because some of them were absolutely wonderful, but they just weren't kept.
You did some great funny stuff on the Red Skeleton show.
Oh yeah, I did all those skeleton shows. I loved them. They were pure farce.
Yes, and did you ad-lib through most of them? Because it seemed so spontaneous.
Red was really a comedic genius, and he would give you things in context with the script.
I remember one scene you were in a museum and he said, look at Da Vinci.
Yeah, the original Da Vinci. That was his line.
In Vincent Price Unmasked, that book over there, you said you'll stay with acting because it opens all other doors. How so?
Well, being in any one art and being successful in it opens doors to everything else in the arts. If you become a successful writer, it will open every door to you. I mean, all the things that you were curious enough to want to do, and you better do them, because that's what life is all about, is the other thing. And that, I think, is a very true statement that I better shut up and do this later. And that I find that I mean, for instance, in the other arts, in the art of painting, and I've had a marvelous kind of life in those arts through being an actor. Because I would never have been, for instance, working for the government in Indian arts and crafts had I not been an actor. You know, because I'm not an expert on American Indian art, though I'm pretty much so now, but because of sort of being exposed to it so much. But I would never have been on Mrs. Kennedy's White House Art Committee if I hadn't been an actor and interested in the arts, you know. So it has opened up a lot of other doors to me.
Do you prefer stage to films?
Yeah.
Why?
Everybody. The audience. And working with hacky people like, I'm sorry, that just came in.
I don't know if anybody who's watching this show tonight gets a chance to go on YouTube and put Vincent Price on the Red Skelton show. Tony, do you remember when him and Boris Karloff did a musical number together on the Red Skelton show?
Yeah. It's featured in the new Boris Karloff documentary called The Man Behind the Monster, and they show that scene.
It was really, he was so incredibly funny. He was so incredibly kind. And ladies and gentlemen, that's just the first half. We'll show the second half of the wonderful Vincent Price Lost Tape interview next week. On this Halloween night, I hope everybody out there had a wonderful, wonderful Halloween. And there was something magical. Hello, Jeffrey Weissman. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeffrey Weissman from Marty McFly of Back to the Future. Or George McFly. One of the McFlys. I don't know. The dad. No, Marty was Michael J. Fox, right? Yes, George McFly. So on this Halloween night, I mean, what's wonderful about the time we live in is that we can all get together. We're all over the country. We can all sit around and reminisce and listen to something that was never really intended to be heard by anybody other than my brother and maybe a few clowns in his high school newspaper. And now in 2021, we can all sit back and capture listen to these captured moments and reflect on some of these greats that are no longer with us. And I am truly touched by going back and listening to him. What a kind man he was. What a generous man he was. And just, he's an icon. He's Vincent Price.
Did I hear that correctly? Did he prefer film over theater?
No, he said he preferred theater over
film.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would have thought the majority and body of his work was film, though, right?
Yeah, he was a major movie star, but every chance that he got to work on stage, he made it a point to do stage work. Joe, I'm told that we have somebody in agreement who wants to pop on.
Yes, but it appears that her camera may be backwards. I'm a little confused.
Okay.
Oh, there they are. Okay, Mr. Craig Hurley. I think.
No,
Craig.
I think he left.
Craig has left the building.
Craig has left the building. Oh,
Craig has not left the building.
Okay. Hi, Katie.
I'm going to drop Craig down until he's in the building. Or we can talk to Katie's shoulder.
I am not camera ready. I am not camera ready at this
Un
juncture.
momento, por favor.
Katie.
Drop them down.
Katie, it's impossible for Katie Barberi not to be camera ready. She's one of the most beautiful women in the world. And there's her lovely...
Okay, maybe.
There he is.
And did you see her Halloween costume today?
Sorry.
How are you, Craig?
Hey, how are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Hurley, how are you? Wonderful actor, Star Trek and Warlock, and his resume speaks for itself. Tell us, would you have any thoughts on the interview tonight?
I got to hear only parts of it, so I'm going to go back and re-listen to all of it.
Do you have any stories you want to share about Vincent Price?
I have no stories about Vincent Price. I never got to meet him. Sorry.
No, I just meant like any thoughts on Vincent Price.
Badass. And the parts of the interview that I have heard, I thought were really amazing. That he was saying things that I think we haven't heard him say before, right?
Yeah, it's more candid, more of like a personal discussion than it was an interview because he was talking with a kid, and It was, I just thought it was really wonderful just to hear Vincent Price's voice again.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm curious. What was he referring to about Kennedy?
He worked on. He was ordained, I guess is the word, by Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis to be on a committee that was in charge of the flowers at the White House. Believe it or not. Did you know that, Tony?
I know he was involved in the art scene, and he did stuff for the various art installations and things like that. So I assume that was in with the White House.
Yeah.
I didn't know about flowers. That's new.
Yeah.
New on me. I thought it was something art related.
Yeah, no, he was an absolute Renaissance man. He knew knew about flowers and art and stage performance and acting, and he had cooking. Oh yes, didn't he actually have a cooking show towards the end?
I don't know about that, but he wrote several cookbooks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was literally just a master of pretty much everything that he touched in his career. It was just was an icon.
David, if I could just say, I want to thank you very much for bringing that tape and those memories to everybody. I think it's just a fantastic opportunity. And when we think of voices today, we think, oh, there's Morgan Freeman. That's recognizable. That's got gravitas behind it. And maybe you or Tony could talk a little bit of how did Vincent Price get that voice?
I think it was from his theatrical training.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, probably from his early stage training. But but believe it or not, it wasn't a put on. It was 100% natural. That's what Vincent Price sounded like when he got out of bed, and what his voice was so important and so impacted pop culture in such a way that, I mean, Michael Jackson, who has
dude, I was just about to say something. I don't mean to interrupt you, but yeah, I mean, we all know Vincent Price from Thriller. So, I mean, I grew up in the 80s. I was a teenager, and his voice is, that's what we heard. And even, I mean, it's Halloween, so I'm sure everybody's been hearing Thriller lately. That's Vincent Price.
Yeah, absolutely. And they reached out to him, and sadly, he had an offer to get a piece of I'm sure Tony knows this, a piece of the sales of Thriller, or $40,000. And in Vincent's ultimate wisdom, he took the $40,000, which is probably not
out of here.
But yeah, and from what I understand, the amount of money that he would have made if he took the percentage was upwards of $15 million.
Wow.
Which would have been more than what Vincent Price made throughout his entire film career if he took that option. But I assure you, he was fine. He didn't.
Was that Vincent or was that his agent?
No, it was actually Vincent who decided to take the money. But he was also an older man at the time, so he was probably not thinking in the long term. But he did the wonderful, the Thriller, the piece with Michael Jackson on Thriller. But 10 years earlier, he did Welcome to My Nightmare with Alice Cooper in the mid-'70s, which at that time, Alice Cooper was probably the 70s equivalent to Michael Jackson. He was one of the top rock stars of. So every time a generational pop icon of the 70s and 80s wanted to do something, they I don't know where I was going. They would reach out to the legendary Vincent Price. Now, Joe, I just got an IM that a living legend was looking to pop on. Is he in the green room? All right, we'll see. We'll wait and see if he could pop on.
Sounds like that.
I'm pretty good at announcing people.
No. I don't know. He just said he said that he's here and he's trying to get in. So with that being said,
and we're not at max capacity. We could still do one more.
Yes. So if he pops on, that'll be great.
Absolutely.
Just, kind of back to what Scott had said earlier in terms of the fact that certainly Vincent Price was known much more for his film work than his stage work. Certainly you can understand that no matter how much film you do, there's nothing like being in front of a live audience. And I'm sure that that's what he was saying, that, he preferred stage to film for that reason, because that feedback is incredible.
Well, I always tell people, the actor in me loves the live feedback and doing a show in front of a live audience, because you're taking a character from beginning to end, the full story. You're getting that feedback from the audience. There's no stop, wait, can I do that again? So the actor in me loves live theater and live performances. My bank account prefers film. So that's how I break it.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody does film so that they can afford to do theater.
Right. But I mean, obviously film gets you worldwide viewing if your film gets to be seen all at once in one, in the comfort of a theater, as opposed to having to trek to see someone live, which is worth it. Everybody, please come to your live shows and support the arts.
I will speak because I got to actually see Mr. O'Halloran in A Few Good Men on a stage play, and
the play he means. He saw me, the play in A Few Good Men. Yeah. Okay, just so we don't have any nomenclature there.
Okay. I saw Mr. O'Halloran in the stage play A Few Good Men, and I was shocked because he's actually a good actor. You wouldn't think that after seeing his movies.
On that note, thank you.
Oh, come on. I thought Brian was frozen the whole time. Bring him back. Tell him to come
Hold
back.
on a second.
I was like, what's going on with Brian?
Hi, Bill.
I haven't seen Brian. I haven't been on the show for a minute.
Can you possibly pop on the StreamYard? I sent you the StreamYard link. That's where the show is.
Okay.
I was in the middle of doing something. I'm sorry. Did Brian bail out?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bill. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have William Sadler. He's talking to me on Facebook right now, but he can't get through on StreamYard.
He has the link. You send him the link again.
I sent him the link. Why don't you try one more time, Mr. Sadler? And if you can't, I thoroughly appreciate you trying.
Well, absolutely. It was a blast when we had him on the last time.
Hey, I just wanted to say that I'm honored to be on this show. I know it's a thing that people say right now. Everybody's so honored to do everything. But I actually am. I mean, with everybody that's here right now, I really think it's cool.
I mean, what a fantastic group on the screen right now. It's freaking amazing.
Now, did Brian really leave over that joke?
I didn't even hear. Wow. Hey, was it the googly eyes?
It was the googly eyes. I think he actually was having a sugar rush from too much trick-or-treating on Halloween. The enormously talented, wonderful film icon from too many films to mention, Mr. William Sadler was trying to get through, but he's not. He's calling me again.
Wait a second. Wait. Oh, no, it's Brian. It's not William.
Here he is.
Oh, it's really
You going to try on your phone?
Well, we've insulted him twice.
Yeah, but if I could look him in his eyes, I'd
Usually I get this treatment in person at the parties, or shall I say, the 3 people that show up to Dave's house on Halloween.
Zing!
Ladies and gentlemen, there's William Sadler. Kind of.
Oh, that's the wrong person. We don't want to see that. We want to see this one. Okay.
Yeah, what's going on over there, Dave?
What is happening?
David is out of control.
Do you need me to log out so you can bring him in? Is the house full?
Negative. We have room for
I'm doing
one more.
very well, Mr. Sadler. We have a full room of people who are dying to talk to you. If you could possibly get on.
Hey, is he using a different device than he did last time?
He's using
Hey!
there he is.
There he is.
He's trying to use his iPhone to get on.
I don't recall if he was using that last time or a computer.
Well, Bill? Are you out shooting Salem's Lot right now?
How do you get him and nobody else?
He's talking to me on Facebook.
Oh.
Sadly, they can't see you, Mr. Sadler.
So mine on Mike. This is a voice. This is a voice from beyond. This is Katie Barberi, a voice from beyond, who needed to schedule a makeup artist if she was going to attend these fine proceedings this evening. I just have a suggestion for David Lee Madison and Joe Ridgely.
Okay.
Please send the link to the significant other / assistant / doer of all stuff of these fantastic artists if you actually want them to get online, mostly because if it weren't for you sending me the link, Craig wouldn't be here either right now.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Fair enough. I can't argue with that logic.
Hey, I got the link like 3 minutes of.
Yeah, but you're on every week, dude.
You're a part of the show, dude.
I know, but and my point is, I got the link like super late.
You see what happened? David asked me for the link earlier this week, and I
Hello.
sent it to him, and I
No,
didn't
no.
actually put it on the group chat.
No worries. I'll tell everybody that you tried valiantly.
Dave, did I hear correctly that this is a two-part
Hold on, I could-
interview?
If everybody could be quiet for 1 second, I could
Okay,
take.
sorry.
I could take this off. All right, they should be able to hear you now.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Who is this the party to whom I am speaking?
That's our producer, Joe Ridgely. How are you?
Hey Joe, how are you?
I am excellent. Thank you for joining us.
Feedback.
It looks like I'm in the middle of an earthquake.
Years of drinking, my friend. That's what's happened to my hands. Well.
Here I am. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Thank you, William.
These are the-
And you missed a wonderful interview with Vincent Price. Do you have it? I will only keep you on it for a moment because we have this weird setup. But do you have any thoughts on Vincent Price before we let you go?
Wonderful actor. Underrated actor, I think. Yeah. I mean, why him of all people? Because it's Halloween.
Oh no, because when I was a kid, I got to interview him, and I dug up a tape that's never been before heard of.
Really?
Yes, of an interview that my brother Bob and I did in 1979 when he was doing. My brother was acting with him on the stage in a play called Diversions and Delights.
Wow.
So we actually have we have an interview with him, and we have an interview with the late great Peter Cushing that we're going to do on a future show. So
Nice. Wow.
So
if I ever work out these bugs, we can do an interview with me too.
That would be awesome because I'm curious about the whole chapel weight going into the new.
Is there anything you want to tell us about what you're working on currently?
Well, I can't tell you much about Salem's Lot, except that it should be great. If you don't know the story, it's scary as hell. Stephen King. I think it was his second novel, and he was very pleased with it. I think he thought it was one of the, looks back at it and thinks it's one of the best things he's ever written. And it's beautifully written. There are hundreds of characters in the book, so I don't know how they whittled it down to, a manageable number of people. But it's great. It's a scary deal.
I hear you.
I can't share any details with you. That'll kill me.
All right.
I have another movie that's coming out. I did with Karen Allen. It's called A Stage of Twilight. That we shot in like August, September, which should be a beautiful movie. It should be. I've never done one like that, where I'm not killing someone or being chased by zombies. It's just the two of us, and it's sort of a love story, and it's fantastic. And that should be out. That should be coming to a festival near you in December. A Stage of Twilight with Karen Allen.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. And by the way, I will have to admit, one of the best moments on this show is when you told the legendary story of when you, I won't make you retell the story about your little accident on stage. And yeah. And to this day, we think about that wonderful piece you shared with us.
It's from the annals of history. Things happens. You know?
It happens to
You
the
don't
best
have
of us.
You don't have control over a lot of these things. At least I wasn't trying to. It wasn't like some actor trying to be natural. You know, I need to be natural, dude.
And that's why Vincent Price said he preferred to act on
stage.
stage.
Like they wouldn't bathe because they wanted to be natural, and it was like,
Not crap.
oh my God, that's too natural. Get out of here. Come on.
With that being said, Bill, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Happy Halloween.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm sorry I couldn't do it in the regular way.
No. When you're back home, I would love to have you on, and we'll talk about all these wonderful things that you are working on.
All right.
Happy Halloween,
Thank you.
Bill. Take care.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Take care.
Happy Halloween.
Take care.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, I am sorry about that, everybody.
Oh, I am dying to find out about Salem's Lot Chapel Wait and see if they're connected with
That was
this
really
and
cool.
everything.
We're still on an echo, though.
I have to put my headphones back on.
Echo. That's the new style. Come on. All the kids are doing it.
By the way, speaking of icons, I mean, William Sadler, I mean, who doesn't love the Shawshank Redemption? I mean, absolutely brilliant in that film. The Mist, I mean, really just a resume of unbelievable films and an unbelievable talent. And it's Halloween. We're all together. We had Vincent Price on. I want to thank all of you guys for joining me tonight. It was absolutely amazing. I hope we brought a smile to everybody's watching's face tonight to reminisce a little bit about a horror icon. I want to give you all...
Hold on a second, sir.
Yeah. What?
Hey!
Hey! There he is! We figured it out.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. William Sadler.
How are you? How are you? Wow, this is a Halloween show. All right, look at you.
We have Mr. Craig Hurley with us. We have Tony Timpone, Bill Randolph, and Ron Millkie, and Camden Toy, and Brian O'Halloran, and Jim Krut, and Scott Schiaffo. It's I
figured if he was able to get hooked up with the Facebook camera, why couldn't that have worked? You know, and it did.
You know, sadly, I think he's having a lot of trouble because he's in a hotel room in Vermont, shooting, from what I understand, the new Salem's Lot movie in which he stars. And,
maybe a broadband issue.
Yeah, I think it's probably the hotel and maybe he got it to work on his laptop, but it seems like he's chopping up.
Yeah.
But that's a very good picture to freeze.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to actually drop him out if that's okay, because I don't think we're gonna be able to recover him.
I don't think he's there. But thank you, Mr. Sadler. You know, Robert Englund was going to pop on tonight. Where the hell are you, Bob? You know, you owe me
somebody was just trying to enter in.
You owe me $12 and you didn't show up.
Katie and I both worked with Robert, so it would be good to see him tonight.
Yes, you guys did.
I haven't seen him in 30 years. So.
You guys did
Freddy's Nightmares.
That's where we met.
Yeah, that's where Katie and I met.
Sweet.
Wow.
Was doing an episode of Freddy's Nightmares. We had mutual friends, but that's where we actually met.
Why don't you say something bad about Bob before he comes on? So
I don't have anything bad about him. I walked onto the set for Freddy's Nightmares, and Robert was in his trailer and playing guitar, and he was sitting there with his dog, and really nice guy. And then I was I showed up early on the set one day when I knew that he was going to get into his makeup, and it was about 4:00 in the morning, and because he had to go through makeup, and it was like a 3-hour process. And I asked him if I could sit in and watch them put on his makeup. And they started putting it on piece by piece. And then they started doing the detailing. And somewhere around about an hour and a half, he looked into the mirror and his pupils went wide open black. And he was suddenly Freddy. And he reached out and he goes, "Where's my script?" And he starts ripping through his script. He's like, "This sucks, this sucks, this sucks. This needs rewritten." And he wrote all that from what I understand. So it's okay for him to do that as Freddy. But dude, it was amazing to see the transition. And then I was scared because I was 19 years old. And I was like, I'm going to go now. Thanks. I'm out. He was Freddy at that point. So that's my story about Robert.
No, that's an absolutely cool story. And he's a great guy. Is Bill frozen again? He looks to be frozen.
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Mr. Sadler.
Better freeze.
All right, I'm gonna boot him again. Sorry, Bill.
Is Brian frozen?
No, not at all.
He's cool, but not frozen.
I'm totally just lured in at the stories of everything. I've had dinner a few times with Robert. I've had a dinner or two with Robert Englund, and the best way to have dinner with him is ask him one question, and then you could just completely eat your meal because he's just so way deep. Like I asked him, "What are you watching these days?" And then I think it was 2 desserts later, I found out all of what he was watching. The entire year of his television and movie watching. A fascinating man. He's hilarious. He's great with the fans. I was just with him a couple of weeks up in Cincinnati for Horror Hound up there. And he's so good to the fans and just such a great storyteller in general.
Hey, Bill, can you hear us?
No.
No. Uh-oh.
I don't think it's gonna work, Bill.
Yeah, you know what? We should give him an A for
absolutely
for effort. Absolutely.
It sucks.
The not so magic of live streaming entertainment. You know, it's getting late. It's Halloween night. I'm gonna Joe, as I mentioned each person, let's pop them up on the screen. Let's go to Bill and Ron.
The pressure is killing me.
Bill, Ron, where can people find you? What are you guys up to? Any parting thoughts before we let you guys go for the... I want to thank you both for joining us for the Vincent Price. You guys are more than welcome to join us next week for part 2 of the Vincent Price Lost Tapes. But
actually, next week I will be in Germany, in Dusseldorf.
Oh,
for a weekend of hell.
Wow, nice.
I will not be here.
And Ron?
I don't say much.
Yeah, okay.
Is this the first time we heard from Ron?
Here together, because when I drop the conversation, Ron can pick it up.
You know what I
enjoyed it tremendously, Madison.
On several occasions, I got to speak with you, Ron. As you know, a week interferes my shows, and I always found it amazing how knowledgeable you are about acting and the way you are. When I was young, my brother Bob and I got to go around with the late great Roddy McDowell when he was hawking one of his books on photography, and you and Roddy have a very, very similar manner in that you're both very, very kind, very soft-spoken, and super intelligent about filmmaking and film. And I learned a lot from you. Bill, Ron, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You guys always have a home on the end of the night. And thank you again for joining us. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Thank you, guys.
And let's put up Tony next because he literally looks like he's about to fall asleep.
No, wait. Hold on a second. Bill was moving.
Oh, Bill's back.
I loved your wonderful tenacity, Mr. Sadler.
If I'm nothing else, I'm tenacious.
Yeah.
By the way, your
Good night,
performance in
everybody.
Good night, Bill. Thank you for joining us. And again, please, once we have a better connection, we'd love to speak with you again like we did last time.
I know. It's very iffy. Wait a minute. You were about to say my performance in
the third Bill and Ted movie was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And while we kind of have you actually seem to be streaming pretty well. So tell us one last thing about A Stage of Twilight, because I was just looking that film up and it looks fantastic.
It's Karen Allen and I, and we've been married for 40 years or something. And yeah, and it's a love story. She's a writer, and she's fallen in love with an electrician, a blue collar man, and I get a bad diagnosis, and we have to. And there's just a lot of courage and a very unexpected ending.
So it's like an art house film. Oh, okay. He disappeared. Joe, pop up Mr. Timpone, because it's getting late and I want poor Tony to get some sleep. He looks very tired.
Absolutely.
Tony, where can people find you? What are you up to? What do you want to share in parting with everybody?
If you have Shudder, the streaming service, I'm part of a new documentary series called Behind the Monsters that's streaming now. And let's see, I did some research for the latest season of Eli Roth's History of Horror. And finally, if you want to read some of my printed work, well, not printed, some of my words online, I've been doing some articles for gruesomemagazine.com.
Awesome. Thank you, my fellow Middle Village brother. You always get my back, and you're just a wonderful guy and a source of Vincent Price knowledge. And, of course, if you're free next Sunday night and you want to talk more Vincent Price, stop on by. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tony Timpone. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure, Tony.
Thanks.
Jim Krut, I know you had a super long day driving. You're the next man up. Jim, always a wingman of mine, a great pal. You have anything cooking that you want to share with the audience, or where they could find you?
No, it's just a pleasure to be here. I love the immediacy of it, and I think you've had some wonderful guests on. I appreciate all your initiative in putting things together, and I love the classic horror films and the classic actors who made them possible. Like Boris Karloff and Vincent Price. So to hear the backstories is always wonderful for me. As far as how people can get in touch with me, there's my website, Helizombie, HELIZOMBIE.com, Helizombie, as in helicopterzombie.com. And I'm on Facebook as well. Otherwise, I'm just trying to stay away from people for a while.
Did you guys see the amazing pictures? And I think Matt and Libby were involved when Jim did the whole... Who did the makeup effects again for the helicopter zombie a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, they did the filming of it at Creature Feature Weekend here in Gettysburg, and it's only the second time we've done the makeup and special effects recreation of me losing the top of my head to a helicopter blade, and we did it here at a theater, and I said I didn't want to do it unless we really, paid tribute to the work that went into the original work, and they said, well, the first time I did it was with Jen Holleran and Jerry Girdley from Tom Savini's Makeup and Special Effects School. And they said, well, that's who we're bringing in to do it. Said,
wow.
Put me down. I'll do it. I'll do it, sure. Took 2 days to get all the stickies out, but it was a wonderful experience. And yes, I'd worked with Libby and Matt, who did that filming, and they took an hour's worth of that makeup demo, took it down to about 17 minutes. So it's actually watchable, and you can hear things in it. They're just a wonderful folks. I'd worked with them as an actor in Darkness Waits, and I just can't say enough good things about them, but we'll save some of that for another time too.
No, we did a whole episode on Darkness Waits. We love Libby and Matt. We love their film. Grunkle Scott and I, have a little mojo on that movie too. And I have to say, Jim, every time I go to a convention and I see that you're at the convention also, it makes my whole weekend a lot brighter, a lot happier. You're just a wonderful guy, Jim. Thank you so much.
Well, it's
for joining
annoying
us
me
today.
because you can't see it. There it is. Darkness Waits is in my background right there. It's always there, guys.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words. And again, it's been just an absolute pleasure being on with you. And to all of you, I bid good health, stay safe, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Jim.
Great
Thank
seeing
you.
you, Jim.
Great seeing you, brother.
What a nice surprise.
See ya.
Mr. Toy, you are up next, my dear friend. Where can
Okay.
everybody find you? And other than prison, of course. And
where the hell's the eye patch? We're missing the eye patch now.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it anywhere.
And where can people find you online?
Well, actually, I just want to let people know I'm going to be in London next week for Sean Harry's Star Fury Vampire Ball of the 5th, 6th, and 7th. So any of my UK fans, please stop by and say hello. It'd be great to see you. And you can get a hold of me on Facebook. I'm the only Camden Toy on Facebook, at least so far. And I'm also on Twitter. It's Camden_Toy on Twitter. So thanks again for having me, guys. It's great to see you.
Camden, thank you so much. You're a dear friend of the show. You're a great guy.
Thank
You're a
you.
wonderful actor.
Thank
And
you.
happy Halloween, my friend.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Thank you.
Happy Halloween. Thanks.
Mr. Hurley.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Harrison.
All
I
right,
mean.
say happy Halloween to Camden. Sorry. I meant to. I'm just tripping out on the way people have not necessarily changed or not changed. That's what I'm tripping out on, because I we've seen all these people as they've grown up. So I don't know. I'm just blown away, and I'm honored, and I'm just absolutely blown away at the people that you had here tonight.
Oh, well, thank you. And I'm honored to have you on. You're awesome. Craig, is there anything that you want to share with people that you have coming up, or your social media accounts or anything?
Yes, comic book.
Craig Hurley on Facebook, Scrappy Prod on Twitter, Craig Hurley on Instagram, and I've been working on Crazy. It's an independent film that I made in 2008, and I think I've talked a little bit about Crazy on this show in the past. A friend of mine, I was doing One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and one of the other cast members asked me if there was a movie or something that I had ever wanted to do or direct that he could be a part of. And I had this idea running for a long time. When I was in California, I picked up a homeless guy, and I gave him a ride from Pasadena down to Santa Monica. And then on the way back, he kind of started coming down off of whatever it was that he was on in the first place. And he threatened my life. And then I started playing pole position at about 120 miles an hour and scared the hell out of the homeless guy. And that's the story that Stephen H. Hansen, the actor that was in Cuckoo's Nest with me, put on film. So we filmed it in 2008. And then in 2009, Steve died of cancer. And I, since then, have been struggling because every single time I see Steve's face, I've been struggling to edit it. Every single time I see his face, I get overwhelmed with not only the pain of missing him, but he's so fucking funny and he's so fucking good and I don't play the homeless guy. He plays the homeless guy for once. And yeah, I finally get to play a lead. I get, like I said, very overwhelmed, or I have over the past 13 years. But over the pandemic, I got the opportunity to just sit down and edit the hell out of this. So I am to the point where I've almost got a director's cut. I am to the point where I am looking for investors for post, and we're doing post production. And I can't tell you some of the people that have signed on, but wow, I really wish I could tell you. There's this one dude that is. Coming up here, I'll be able to say something because we're signing a letter of commitment, and it's just really friggin' cool, the people that have jumped on. And the guy that I'm talking about, he's going to be doing the score on the film, and he's also going to be doing a lot of the post-production sound on it. And he's also going to play guitar for Chris, the homeless guy, because I had him playing guitar in the movie. So yeah, it's really, really freaking cool how crazy has moved along rather quickly over the past couple of like weeks, because that's what it's been. It's been like, and not that the pandemic's over, because it certainly isn't. But I had an opportunity to really concentrate on it. And now that things are picking up again, people are really interested in seeing this get done. So I really want to get it done for Steve's family and for his kids. And also, I plan on the majority of anything that I make off of it going to cancer research, and like I said, to his kids.
That's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you and Katie for being awesome all the time and being great friends of the show. Happy Halloween,
You are
Craig.
very welcome.
I will catch up with you guys soon. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Craig Hurley. Thank you, Craig.
Cool.
Good night,
See you,
Craig.
Brian.
Thank you.
See you, Scott. See you, Joe.
Take care.
Mr. O'Halloran.
Yes.
Where'd you get those eyes, by the way?
What are you talking about?
Jeepers creepers, where'd you get those peoples?
It's just a regular Sunday night for me.
There you go.
Okay, he's pulling the meanie with a puppet and.
What?
By the way,
What?
at 11:34, Robert Barton, England, says he's trying to get in. Do you have anybody?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
All right. Mr. O'Halloran, where can people find you? I know that
Sure. They
you
can
got
find
so much going on.
You can find me and Mr. Scott Schiaffo here at Rhode Island Comic-Con this weekend, the 5th, the 7th through the 7th. We have such a huge collection of people. We have the artisan himself, the man who created this universe that we are a part of. The Viewist universe is the one I'm talking about. Mr. Kevin Smith will be there Friday night, along with his hetero life mate, Jaysen Muse, myself, Jeff Anderson. That's right. Randall is on the road. He came on the road in the beginning of 2000, brought us the virus, and now he's back to collect. So here we go. And also Trevor Furman. This will be his very first convention ever. And then the lovely and talented Marilyn Gigliotti, who's also been on your show a few times, and Scott Schiaffo, and Kevin Weisman, who plays the Lord of the Rings nerd, is also going to be at the show. So we're roping him in to the View Askew alumni as well. And then 2 weekends after that, we'll be up at Saratoga for Saratoga Comic-Con. It'll be me, Jeff Anderson, and Scott Schiaffo for that as well. If you want to find me on the internets and the socials, those are the address there. It's the Brian C. O'Halloran on Facebook, Brian C. O'Halloran on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. And The O'Halloran is the YouTube channel. I know I've been taking a huge break from my own show, just getting a lot of things situated since wrapping up of Clerks 3, which I finally got to see just a couple of a week ago, and I gotta say it looks really good. I'm really proud. Uncle Scott did a great job in it. Marilyn Gigliotti, Jeff Anderson, everybody just did a real great job. So I look forward to people seeing it eventually next summer.
Yay! You know, it's so funny. You just put up that the enormous show you guys are doing in Rhode Island, and it's funny because when Scott started mentioning it, it seemed like November 5th through the 7th seemed so far away, and now it's like next week. Holy shit!
Next week.
Wow!
And then
it's
before
almost
you know it, it's Thanksgiving, and next thing you know, it's New Year's and Christmas.
and all that.
Next
jazz.
thing you know, it's baseball season again, and we can watch the Mets lose some more.
What do you think about the Jets today? Our quarterback looked like the greatest quarterback performance of all time, and he's the third string guy we got off the trash heap. It's unbelievable.
I know. It's pretty interesting. I saw the beginning of the game, and then I saw the ending of the game, and I was like, wow, all right, we'll see.
400 plus yards from that guy. Unbelievable.
Right. But we've been suckered into like, oh my God, a guy out of nowhere doing great, and then boom. Like talk to Jacksonville right now about Darnold.
You know, I think you and I, Carolina, I think you and I were just we were at a Jet game, and if you remember, it was like Bryce Petty's first start, and he looked like the second coming, and we were like, yay, we finally have our quarterback, so we know better. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely and talented Brian O'Halloran. Thanks, Brian, for showing up tonight. You're always a great guest and a great pal, and I will talk to you soon.
Great work, and I won't be there for your Sunday second half. Me and Scott.
I know you guys will be in Rhode Island. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I'll push up the second half of the interview to another day.
Maybe what I could do is we could do a William Sadler and try to come in through the phone, or go to the rest stops on the thruway or something. I don't know. Rest stop bathroom Wi-Fi. Does anybody know what the strength is on restroom bathroom Wi-Fi? Anyway. Sounds like a band. Restroom, bathroom, Wi-Fi.
And while you're in the stall, make sure you erase your name and phone number off the wall.
No, that's how I get most of my followers.
I hear you.
Never. That's what you call real viral advertising.
Happy Halloween, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, brother. You too. Love you guys.
Love you. Oh my God, that show! I don't know. All right, now it's just the three of us, the three guys who make this show run. I'm not sure. Was that a great piece of historic?
It absolutely was.
Or was it just an absolute train wreck?
I felt bad because when we were doing the outros for everybody, Bill came in 3 more times.
Oh, he did?
He did.
He's such a great guy. He was trying desperately to get in. He's just a wonderful, wonderful guy. And everybody who showed up tonight were just really, I mean, Tony Timpone is literally like a walking encyclopedia of horror. And someday, in the not too distant future, people are going to realize just the importance that Tony has had on the entire horror genre. And seriously, just do a little research on that cat and things he's done. And you'll see he's quite an amazingly talented guy. Scott, you have any parting thoughts or anything you want to share with the audience before we
Brian covered it all, so we don't need to solo me out. I mean, that's the next couple.
Baloney, I can do this. Boom, Scott.
Bada bing! All righty, Rhode Island next weekend. Pretty mind-blowing. And in a couple of weekends, it's Saratoga. And I just want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for all your support. I feel very blessed, and I want to thank my life partner, Carrie Werner, for putting up with my crap and always being there for me. And you two fellows, we have a very wonderful thing with this show. And I feel blessed.
With that being said, Joe, I want to take a minute out to thank you. You do an absolutely wonderful job as our co-host and our producer. You made getting the interview over to you super easy, and it presented well. And I thank you for all you do. All three of us love to goof on each other and pick on each other, but none of this works without any of you guys. So thank you for what you did. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on this, what I honestly believe was a truly historic event. Listening we brought back Vincent Price for a night on this Halloween night, and he was truly an icon. And if you look up the word icon, there's a picture of Vincent Price, because that word is thrown around all the time. But literally, Vincent Price was an icon.
One question, if I may.
Absolutely.
All right. So your brother on that tape had
Yes.
a very thick accent. You sure?
Well,
you
my
guys are
brother
related?
Bob, when he was a kid. Well, first off, we were New Yorkers, but my brother Bob grew up absolutely adoring movies and stuff, and he was influenced by Basil Rathbone and his English accent that Basil Rathbone did as Sherlock Holmes. So I think my brother, in trying to impress Vincent Price, was putting on some kind of a weird tonal thing. But I think it kind of is funny if you look at it in retrospect. And I want to thank my brother Bob, who I love dearly, who this episode would have never happened if he didn't introduce us to this tape and to Vincent Price. He's a great guy. Bob Madison, look up. He's got a ton of books you can buy. He's a great writer and just a great guy. And thank you, Bob. I love you very much. With that being said, everybody, happy Halloween. You know, Joe, I'm not sure if we're going to do part 2 of Vincent Price next week. Maybe because Grunkle Scott should be a part of the great Vincent Price. And I also have another huge thing that I'm working on. So maybe we'll talk about all that during this week, and we'll figure all the particulars out. With that being said, thank you everybody who joined us tonight. Thank you for everybody who watches this in the archives. Thank you, Vincent Price, for being you and for entertaining millions and millions and millions of people for generations. Thank you, Emmett. We were one of the 3 people who were at my Halloween party, as Brian so lovingly put it. Thank you for generations and generations of entertainment. And with that being said, no man's a failure who has friends. We'll see you guys soon, and happy Halloween.